Okay, I call to order the March meeting of the New Bern Historic Preservation Commission. Mr. Shelley, if you call the roll.
Right. Certainly. Ross Beebe.
Here.
Gregory Rush.
Here.
Elena Huber.
Here.
Mike Wieka.
Here.
Jim Morrison.
Here.
Tim Thompson.
Here.
John Schmid.
Here.
Richard Parsons and Molly Bales are not yet here. You do have a quorum.
All right. Are there any other adjustments to the agenda? I do have one. Mr. Shelley has clarified item B under the consent agenda. We do not need to address that because the garage doors on the accessory structure, the current COA is just expiring, so he can deal with it as a one-year extension, and it is a minor work.
And also, we have no minutes, so you could eliminate that.
So with that, we have no consent agenda. Hearings on certificate.
Oh, wait. So is that your adjustments to the agenda?
Yes.
Can we have a motion, please?
We have a motion. Make the
To
motion.
dispense with the consent.
Let's dispense with the minutes since they're not ready. So approved.
I second.
All those in favor?
Just to clarify, Mr. Chair, I think Mr. Rush's motion is to dispense with the entire consent agenda since there are no minutes, and item 3B does not need to be addressed.
I think it's good.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay. And was that the second also?
I'll second.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. With that, then, we move to hearings on certificate of appropriateness. I'll summarize the hearing process. The HPC administrator provides an overview of the application. The applicant or representative presents the application. Proponents and opponents who receive notice of the hearing can present evidence. Rebuttal is allowed by the applicant and by proponents and opponents who receive notice. Others who can justify that they have relevant information and will be directly affected can present evidence. The HPC administrator presents the staff findings and recommendations. Then the applicant or representative has an opportunity to make final comments on their application. Commissioners discuss the evidence and may ask for clarification from the applicant or presenters. The chairman calls for a motion to approve or deny the application with stated findings of fact. The motion is then discussed by the commission. The chairman calls for a vote on the motion by the commission, and a COA can be approved with conditions, or denied.
You may want to swear in presenters.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mr. Shelley, if you'd swear in anyone who chooses to speak tonight.
You're going to swear us in.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so you're going to raise your right hand?
Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes, I do. All right, and then put your name here and your address.
Now I'll continue on. The Historic Preservation Commission is a public commission appointed by the City of New Bern's Board of Aldermen. It is responsible for preserving and safeguarding New Bern's locally designated historic districts, both downtown and Riverside, based on U.S. Department of Interior standards, state statutes, city ordinances, and New Bern's historic design principles and standards. Two of the major tasks of the HPC include approving applications for a certificate of appropriateness and preventing demolition of historic structures due to neglect. The HPC holds a quasi-judicial hearing on an application for a certificate of appropriateness. The commission hears sworn testimony and evidence provided by the applicant, by parties who receive notice of the hearing, and by others who can justify that they have relevant evidence and are directly affected by the application. The commission cannot consider comments based on personal likes or dislikes, hearsay, or personal opinion that cannot be directly related to specific historic principles and standards. Likewise, commissioners shall refrain from stating personal opinion, personal likes or dislikes, or hearsay during a hearing. The Commission's decision on an application is based solely on testimony and evidence presented at a hearing that directly relates to the historic design principles and standards. With that, we're ready to deal with 715 and 717, 719 New Street.
All right. Since these are two applications that are essentially identical, or almost identical, I'm actually starting with 719 New Street, and you'll see why. So that reverses the order of the two addresses on the agenda. So the first one, 719 New Street, this is the application. The property owner is All Square Enterprise, LLC. And you can see the rest of the application here, filled out, checked off, and signed by the applicant. Then this now, to readjust the size, this is the site plan provided for this project. This is on the corner of New Street and Bern Street, and the house will be facing New Street. The address of the property is also New Street. This diagram shows the house in the middle, the rectangle in the middle. I've added a few dimensions to show that the house is 27 foot 6 inches wide, as designed in the plans we'll see in a minute. And when you add those all up, it's 59 foot 6 inches across, which comports with the 60 foot dimension across the back and 61 across the front. And so on this plan, as you all know, for the building setbacks, the front yard setbacks are determined by other buildings on the same block as the subject property. And so they've provided the information on the right here with the asterisks. For the New Street frontage, they have measured that the closest other building on that block is 5 feet from the back of the sidewalk. And the farthest is 18 foot 6 inches from the back of the sidewalk, so the 15 foot that's proposed is appropriate. Then on the Bern Street side, same thing happens again, and in this case the closest building is 8 foot 4 inches and the farthest one is 13 foot 4 inches, and so their proposal for 13 feet from the back of the sidewalk is appropriate. To note here also is that the space to the right or east of the house is to be used for parking, 55-foot long driveway for parking. With the 15 feet out in front, that leaves 40 feet, which is appropriate for 2 parking spaces. Let's see. Other than that, off the back of the house, 19 feet is more than the 6 foot minimum for the backyard, and the 19 feet is more than the 5 feet minimum for the side yard setback. The plan does show a sidewalk coming out of the center of the plan of the house. The actual steps down from the front porch come off of one corner or the other, so that's slightly inaccurate there. We will be discussing the actual location of that sidewalk as we proceed here. All right. So I've provided the aerial view for this. You can see this one is an empty lot at the corner of Bern and New Street, and you can see basically the context of where this house will be located, and the kinds of houses that are around there and other buildings that are around there. If you want to talk about that later. So these are along New Street, these are the buildings that were used to come up with those with that front setback range, and then same thing along Bern Street, all of these buildings. All right, so I've provided a somewhat more closer view of the lot. Here you can see it's basically very empty with the exception of the one southwest corner has maybe a tree on it, maybe it's on the neighboring property. There are some street trees along the Bern Street side. And if you have any other questions about some of the neighboring properties, we can come back to that again. These are some photographs of the site back in when we had our snowstorm earlier this year, and to give you some perspective of why did that do that? Okay. Sorry. The context for this property, for this project. This is the upper photo represents both of the properties together, whereas this middle one is the property on the corner. Then from 2015, we have a Google Street View image showing the entire property vacant even back then, and some of the other factors around this property. The sidewalks, the neighboring houses on the left, the neighboring houses on the right, and I'll show you some of those more up close. And the one in the background is the small funeral home that's back there. There is an intervening property in between the funeral home and these properties. Going to make this bigger. All right. These are also from 2026. So the first house to the left is this one-story one, and the next one over is 2 with an attic. The following one after that is 2 with an attic. Both of those have a porch on the front, plus the one-story also has a porch on the front. Across the street from them, oh no, I'm sorry, this is looking back at them from the other direction. And from the other direction, so you have a closer view of some of the details of those. Then across the street from them begin these other houses on that same block of New Street. This is actually a newer construction, 2 stories with an attic and a small addition on the left. And the one in the background is 2-story with no attic. And then looking down the rest of New Street out to George Street, there's 2 more houses there. And you can see where the house on the right is probably the one that has like the, 2-foot setback from the sidewalk. Whereas for Bern Street, this is now a somewhat wider view of Bern Street, the view down there, and the house will be sitting here on the left side of this photograph. So if you can kind of, you guys have seen the plans, if you can imagine it sitting there, what it would look like with its essentially 1.5 stories there. The first house on the right, well, on the corner there's a small vacant piece, and then immediately next to that is this white house that's there on the photo on the bottom. So you have some idea of the character of that. And that same house from the left side, there's a chimney on there, front porch, 2 stories, an attic. Then the next 3 in line, all 3 have a front porch and 2 stories and an attic, possibly a 1/2 story with those dormers on there. Now, you can also see this property from Queen Street because of the vacant area across the street from the subject property. And also the fact that that is a triangular 5-way intersection, and the large sidewalk and such here. So you would see this house essentially right behind the white vehicle here, just and to a little bit to the right of that vehicle. And even as you're approaching down Queen Street, this house will now be sitting on this corner there. This is so frustrating how everything's jumping around. This is the zoning and inspections review for the application, and the zoning administrator has indicated that a zoning permit will be required for this. We've just discussed the setbacks for the property. And this chief building inspector has indicated that the project, of course, will require a building permit. So now we can get to the plans. And this is the cover sheet for the set. It shows a very nice sketch of the front of the house. I can go ahead and discuss this real quick so we don't have to do it again later. So this shows the front porch, 1.5 stories. The second floor is significant occupancy up there, and has front steps on the right-hand side here. The front windows have sets of shutters, so there's a total of 4 individual shutters. The windows also have panels underneath the windows. The front door or doors shown here as well with their panels and windows. There's a transom over that. You can see all the trim work around the doors and windows. The columns on the porch are turned posts, and then they also have some decorative brackets at the tops. And the other important feature here is this kind of pedimented portion right over the portion of the porch where you enter. That will come up a little bit later. And the other things are all around the sides, so we'll see them in a minute. But that's just the front of it. So the next sheet is actually the floor plans. Looks like I have to make them a little smaller so you can see them in their entirety. So the middle one is the first floor plan. The right-hand one is the foundation, and the left-hand one is the upper floor. So the first floor, the bottom is along New Street. So looking at the front, from the bottom, that's the front porch, and the front porch steps, and the front door, and the 2 windows that we just saw. But what we also see in the plan is, as we go around the building, on the right-hand side, there's a bay window for the dining room, and then another window on the side for the kitchen, a small setback for the utility room on the back here, which then carries out and becomes a screened-in rear porch, which also has a set of stairs inset into its corner there. Then coming back along the other side, a window for the master bedroom, a window for bathroom, and then the wall also insets in quite a bit to come back to the front. That little corner there is used for the utilities with a small fence and gate around that area. And then lastly, there's a bump out for the gas non-vent fireplace.
Can I just ask a quick question, because this is reversed from the other one? Bern Street is on the left or right?
So Bern Street would be on the right.
Okay. Which is different than on your overhead. Okay. Good.
So
Thank you.
In this plan, Bern Street's on the right-hand side. So the bay window for the dining room is facing Bern Street.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. And the utilities then would be facing the other side of the driveway, we'll say. All right. The second floor has 2 bedrooms and a stairway up in between them. But primarily for us, we see there are 3 windows out the front. That was the kind of Palladian motif, the large center and 2 smaller side windows. And then on the back, there's a single window. They have added with some handwritten notes here that some of the windows are different than what the plans show. So we may need to ask some questions about, for example, this one. But the others seem to be rather straightforward, in my opinion. So And this one, so I might as well hit that one while we're at it. This one says it's 2'8" wide by 6 foot high, and it was previously designed to be slightly smaller, slightly shorter. And so when it comes to the elevation, we'll need to ask them questions about how it's changed the elevation from what we see on the elevation. So, all right. So the next page is the elevations. And this includes a lot of the notations that we requested from our design review meeting to make sure that the drawings reflect their proposal. I'm actually going to make this tall. Let's see. First of all, the rear elevation is the upper left. The front elevation is the lower right. And the right-hand elevation, which in this case would be facing Bern Street, is upper right. And then lower left is facing the driveway. So I'm going to make this larger so we can see better each one of these. So the rear elevation, and as we just talked about, that window at the top is going to be slightly larger. I think it was about 6 inches taller. And so maybe at this point it would be good for our applicant to come forward so we can get a revision to the drawing here. You'll have to give us your name and address.
John Rosenbaum, 175 Salty Shores, Point Drive, Newport, North Carolina.
Okay, perfect. So the drawings on the plans show that this would be about 6 inches taller than is shown on here. Are you planning on lowering the sill or raising the header or some combination thereof?
Raising the header.
Okay. All right. What we can also see on here, some notes that stand out the most here. Almost all of the siding and trim is essentially going to be made out of hardy board or fiber cement board. And here they've called out 5/4 by 5.5 for the header and 5/4 by 3.5 for the sides. Going to move in some more.
Excuse me, Matt, I do have a question while we're talking about that. Are those shingles individual, or are those just kind of shaped boards that have the shingle shape on the bottom of them?
Just shape on the bottom.
Okay, so they're not individual shingles; they're just boards that
Right.
are cut to resemble the bottom of
Correct.
shingles.
That's correct.
So other things to note here: it's a 12 and 12 pitch on the main roof. The entire gable is framed with some trim, and there's also a return at what they call a return at the bottom corners here, which means it'll stand out more than the rest of the trim that's coming horizontal across the rest of this triangular shape. You can see it's cut out to allow for the window to come through and with its windowsill. That then has another piece of trim underneath it, which is, I think it's called out in the details, the size of that. It's about 1 foot, I believe. And then the porch, the screened-in porch, has a gable roof here, and because of the rear door is punched in, the roof has a different shape off to the right. Where it's essentially popping out farther than the doorway. And so all the trim around all of that is following all the way around that entire roof. Let's see, the screened area has 5 columns. And between the columns, the screen material is fastened to the back side of these columns so that the columns stand out from the screen. And let's see, we also see on the detail up here for this corner that there are calling out a hardy soffit and a hardy frieze board. That's this white board coming across, all the way across here. And then the shingles, the siding down below that. There is no gutter and no downspout, but there is at the edge here a cove-shaped trim, cove, like you might see inside a dining room or a living room, coving, that same kind of shape with along that, and then coming down to the soffit itself. Let's see. And they're showing here the architectural shingle for the roofing. Now that roof is the slope. Oh, is 3 and 12 shown over here on this side here. So, all right. So, no, not yet. Don't go there. The screen doors, double doors, they've provided some detail about that. It's called out as a 3068 wood screen door. And then the steps are also called out as pressure-treated wood. And the entire back porch is supported on brick piers with no infill between the brick piers, so open underneath this screen porch. Okay, that should probably do it for now. Other than the only other thing is the corner board here on the sides. Those are called out as a 6-inch corner board.
But those brick piers, are they actually like brick faced? They're not real brick. They're just brick on the outside with cement block on the inside?
That is correct.
Okay.
All right. So the next elevation, this is the side facing Bern Street. Going to get a little bit smaller.
So that has screening on the foundation?
So
Yes.
yes. So the house itself does have foundation
two porches?
with the piers and then the infill with brick.
Okay.
So all that is brick across there, but the infill is recessed in slightly. And then we can see when we get to the back porch is open.
I can't see your notes. Does it say that the infill between the piers is recessed a bit? I know we talked about that at design review.
It doesn't say it here. Maybe it's on another view or needs to be added. Then, I should let you guys know. I put some writing pads at each one of your places so you can use the writing pads to make any notes as we go along. All right. So on this side, let's start at the top and work our way down. Architectural shingles that are black color. This has a ridge vent across the top of the ridge. Then as we get down to the soffit, we have the soffit detail we saw up here as well, but with a different angled roof. And then we also have that frieze board across the top. I'll start with the rear since we did that first. Then this is essentially the profile of the roofing on the back of the house. You can see a portion of the house is 1 story before it goes to the outdoor screened area. That's like the utility room, I believe, here. And remember, this is pushed back a couple of inches at the corner, remember, from the plan view. So we have that, all that profile going on there. You also get here a profile view of the handrails with the newel post on the step there, and the view of this side view of this short amount of steps here. So, what else?
And I think you said at the meeting, this is about a 30-inch elevation above ground?
Yeah.
Is that what
It'd be 30 or less.
Yeah.
And that's why we have no railing on the porch out front, so because it wouldn't be required and can remain open. We can see a little bit more of the details of the columns and the brackets for the porch, and the same kind of detail work for the edges of the soffits and edges of the roof, of the front porch roof. No, did I make that mistake on here? No, okay. Sorry. I referred to the rear porch slope with the front porch slope, but they are indeed the same. So,
On that drawing, maybe show somewhere else. I know we talked about this too. What's the size of the trim around the windows? Is that the same that's up there, 3.5?
Yes, 3.5 on the side and 5.5.
3.5 wide?
Yeah.
okay. So on the side, we have these two windows in the side of the building. One is out front in the front room. Towards the back, this is the kitchen area. That's a kitchen window, and that's why that's a bit smaller. But same proportions, right? You can see it's narrower. And then the bay window here is, the square bay. It's not one with the 45-degree angles, but it does stick out, so it needs a special roof for it. And so that's a 3-12 roof. Now, suppose that's with the architectural shingles, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Then we already discussed the rest. That we have a skirt board at the bottom. Oh, I'm sorry, missed the panel work underneath the bay windows here is to be a hardy board. However, I'm not sure how, and maybe the applicant can explain or provide some information about how a hardy board panel ends up with a kind of usually beveling or some kind of detail work that panels generally have, or it won't have that kind of detail. I'm not sure how or if hardy board can do that.
Yeah. It'd be a hardy board panel with a trim detail to make that frame.
Just like a little piece of trim inside to kind of give it that look?
Correct, to give it the detail.
Okay, so this middle panel is probably flush with the area around the edge, right? And then you're basically attaching a piece of trim
On top of it.
on top of the whole thing, and it, voila, magically creates the panel. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Oh, and here they indicate that all the windows are vinyl white windows. The spacing on the stairway handrails is 3-inch between the pickets, and they are 2x2 balusters or pickets. Let's see.
And are those pressure treated?
Yeah, so
I'm sorry, what's the material on those? Is that a pressure treated?
Pressure treated.
yeah, so that's all wood. And how about the columns? I don't know if we got the materials on the turned columns, and then the rear columns, those are 4x4s, 6x6s.
I believe they're called out as 6x6s, and they'll be pressure treated.
Right.
In the
Okay,
detail.
So those are wood. Now, how about the turn columns?
They will be wood too.
Okay. All right. So plenty of wood on here. Let's see. So we talked about the front. I believe I got everything on there, except that now we know that the panels under the windows here are also hardy with the way that he described. Then, as we move to the driveway side, we'll call it, right? The left elevation. Here, with the roof, typical, same as the other side, same trim work. We have a stairway window here in the middle, and then where previously or originally there was the chimney. That's been because we're talking about a what's it called?
It's non-vented.
Ventless.
Non-vented, right? Fireplace doesn't need the whole chimney, so that pump out is shown here. Now, this white rectangle is to represent the roof at an angle, so I'm going to slide this over slightly, and you can see what I'm talking about. From the front, this is, it's basically a shed roof attached to, or on top of that bump out there. So as far as detailing, Probably should be a freeze board underneath there, I guess. There may be a little soffit and then a freeze board under there. And same thing on the side, which you see from the front. Probably would have another freeze board or some kind of trim anyway, for both both sides, and this front of that fireplace bump out. Here they're calling out for the corner is 3.5-inch hardy trim, and they show it also on the side as well. There would probably be another one on the front where it butts into the existing.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
It'd be trimmed out to match the house.
Right.
Yeah.
And then for the bottom, we can see below here the skirt board is coming across and meeting there. Will that skirt board essentially wrap around this bump out?
Yes.
And then below that, you're expecting to have the same kind of brickwork that you have on the rest of the house?
Correct.
Okay. And that where we see white right now below this 6-foot dimension and over here to the corner, that would also be brick underneath the house. It's not
Correct. Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's see. The wood screen fence, which surrounds the utilities here.
I'm sorry, so that bump out for the ventless, so when that shed roof comes out and it bumps out, does that tie back into the foundation, or does it go the whole way to the ground?
It'll tie into the foundation.
So it'll come back in, so there'll be a space under the bump out?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. What supports that? Is there a support under? Is there like a, or is it just cantilevered out from the house?
No, we were talking about doing a brick foundation with the piers,
the
just
brick
like,
come out and around?
yes, and that way it all
Okay.
ties together.
Okay, that's what I thought you said. I just was trying to picture it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yes.
But that reminds me on the other side with the bay window, though, that is suspended in air.
Yes, cantilever.
2 feet or whatever it is.
Right.
Sticking
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, got that, guys?
It looks like a bay. It's good.
All right. So, coming around the house to the wood screen fence here, we just would need to have the 3-inch space between the pickets thing, or some kind of representation of the design as solid panels or something like that. So we'll need a little bit of information about that.
But you can just make it to match the front, the 3-inch in between one.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. Then on this side here, what is that? That is, I think that's a bathroom on the first floor, and the kitchen. I forget. Well, these 2 rooms on this side here actually extend up farther than the rest of the house, but only on the first floor, and so that creates this kind of 1-story wraparound look here with the roofing continuing all the way around. On top of that, the 2 larger and smaller windows, and then the rest of the same details here towards the back for the screened porch. Any questions on any of these? Gregory?
The window trim vertical 3.5.
Yep.
Is that acceptable, or have we done wider before?
That's up to you guys. But
We can discuss that, but
yeah, you can discuss that later, I
it's
guess.
6 inches on the corner boards on his drawing.
Right.
So the next sheet has some details, so maybe that might clear up anything you might actually still have in your mind there. So I'll just start with the upper left here. This is over the doors and windows. That the trim is actually a hood of sorts over that. There's some flashing that's at an angle, and then that protects the crown molding. That's the word I was trying to think of earlier. Crown molding. There's then this trim piece that's labeled as hardy board, 5/4 by 6, and then a 5/4 fiber cement trim below that for the actual, I guess, trim around the doors and windows. Then typical window and door head. I'm sorry, this first one up here was on the front elevation. For the rest of the house, the windows have this smaller hood or hood with some flashing on it with these various pieces. And let's see, the top one is labeled as wood and the bottom one is fiber cement. And then the next typical window and door jamb, so down the sides, here it's shown as 5/4 trim, fiber cement trim, and the wood sill is shown below this line here. So the width of them is provided in the elevation, which is what we would then discuss later. The typical window sill is a block of wood that's been cut to slope and with a slot across the bottom for drainage. And then we have over here for the front windows, there's the paneled window surround. So here we're showing the hardy board again for the panel and the various dimensions of some of the pieces. 3/4 inch panel mold, that trim that runs around there, leaving a 1x6 rail, a 4x4 sill, and leaving a 1x6 rail at the bottom. Then this is the actual window sill, the 4x4 window sill, and then a little apron till it hits the floor. This also shows they're intending to include some shutters, which, as we know, will be actual operating shutters, and they've provided in a separate document, we'll see in a minute, the details about the hardware. Let's see, I think that's it on that one. This is, besides being construction detail, shows us some of the details around the front edge of the porch, how it extends over the trim that's on the front, which is the little piece is a 1x4 pressure treated 1x4, and the one below that is pressure treated 2x12. Then after that, and they also call out the flooring is pressure treated 5/4 by 4 deck board. We may need to determine whether or not that flooring needs to be butt or T&G. Then the next one is a typical wall section, so around the rest of the house. The skirt board here is the taller piece. I think they whited out the size of it, but it's supposed to be hardy. And we have that angled piece, which is a drip cap off of for when the rain runs down the wall, it drips off of this drip cap. And again, doesn't particularly say what the material is or if it has flashing, or maybe that got whited out. I don't know. All right.
So before you move on there, I kind of lost it there. The deck boards themselves.
Yeah.
What are you?
We'll do the tongue and groove.
I don't know if it needs to be, but we can talk about that. But so what do you have listed in the application? Is just a side-by-side deck board?
That's probably, I don't know if I detailed that.
Okay.
So, yeah, you can nail that down later.
Okay.
Yep. So I made this bigger now, so it's not so microscopic. So now this is just a wall section with the hardy board siding, and at the top of the walls it shows a hardy frieze board, 2x in section, and then the soffit and the crown molding and the roof detail at its end there. with no gutters or any of that. So, and 12 by 12 pitch. I think that was everything on that page. Okay, no. So as you have the gables on the end that overhang the wall, that's called the rake along those two diagonals. And so along there, there's a metal drip edge. There's 2 by 3 wood trim to hold that up, and then 1 by 10 wood trim along the face. And that's structural on the inside. Yep, so we don't care about that. All right. Zoom out, move down. Lastly, in the plans, they're showing us the electrical plan, and of any particular note here is the exterior lighting, and they are proposing some plus 2 fans on the front porch. So we have 2 lights, one on either side of the front doors. Then on the back, there's none shown around on the outside on the back. And then that's just the overall roof plan.
So there's not going to be any exterior lighting on the outsides, on the driveway side or the other side? Just on the front door?
Yes.
On each side of the front door?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so some of the other things that they've provided for us since the design review meeting is that the windows will have the 3D window grid. The exterior doors are fiberglass and smooth. The exterior is smooth hardy. The shingles are black in color, and the lights, the exterior lights, will have white light bulbs.
Awesome.
But that's not it. Those were just the easily enumerated ones or listed. This is information about the exterior single doors. My question was, is this for the each panel? We see 2 doors here. Is this for each panel on the front?
No,
Is it a 2-panel door?
No, it's one front door and one rear.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I think, Matt, on there it looks like 2, but I think it's just one door with 2
you're right.
panels
I
on it.
remember seeing that now on the plan. Yep. Okay. So yes, one's the front and one's the rear. So, and what we can see here is, like you said, it's the fiberglass for both of those. Let's see, I should make this bigger in case anyone wants to actually see that. It's a little bit pixelated, but you can make out most of what it says. No big surprises there. The next page is now about the shutters, and the issue here would be primarily that they're the right size. Here they're calling out 15 inches for the width of them, and 84 inches in height. So if you're let's look up at the floor plan. And these are 2'8" by 6'6", and so 2'8" and a 15-inch shutter is almost exactly, at least,
Can't say that
the correct size, right? 30 inches, whereas this is 32. So you also have some room, some play with the framing and all of that. And 6'6" is
7 feet.
70.
7 feet.
what?
84 is 7 feet, if you're going for
Okay, so they're a little bit long.
But isn't there like a panel underneath them or something?
Yes, there is, but the panel's much larger than a foot.
Okay.
So we'll need to verify that that's going to work appropriitely.
Can you go to that front elevation again?
Yep, that's down here, right? There we go. Yeah.
To do them all the way to the ground.
Oh, yes. So yeah, they need to be as tall as that, which is,
As tall
looks
as
like it
what?
says 8'4" over here.
So, yeah, the shutters don't have to go the whole way to the ground. They can just cover the window, so they don't have to cover the panels.
So I can just
As long
go
as,
back to 78 inches instead
well, yeah,
of
whatever the window is.
Well,
70.
it looks like you created a New Orleans.
Yeah, it's a cool look. You don't
which is
have
all
to
the
do
way
it.
to the ground.
Okay.
So it's a design preference, and so you can keep them longer. And I thought that was a little bit.
Right. That was the tallest shutter that we could find. So that's why we went to 84.
But it doesn't go, it's not, that 84 is not going to do it. The 84 is going to go only about halfway down that panel, and that'll just look out of whack.
So I guess what they're saying should be one or the other.
Okay. We can go back to the 78 inch.
I think people are saying from a style-wise, that longer one's cool.
Right.
But if you can't get the panel, then don't go halfway down.
Right. Okay.
There's always custom.
Custom cost.
Then this next sheet is the hardware for that.
So Matt, just to be clear, Mr. Applicant, what size shutter, what dimensions are you going with for the purposes of this application?
Windows.
The size of the window is 78 inches, so then we would scale back to 78 inches.
Okay, just want to make sure everybody's clear about.
But still 15 inches wide.
15 inches wide.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, but 70 inches wide. The answer we were looking for. All right, then this is the hardware. We have the L hinge and the pins and the shutter dogs here. I'm not exactly sure what these middle pieces are in here. What is that for? Is that the
That's a reinforcement.
cleat?
Yeah.
A French cleat bracket, it says.
It's typically what you hang
On the outside to reinforce it.
To hold them in place, perhaps. All right. Then this is the section for the back porch. So now we're going to move to the back porch. The screen porch, this shows a 6x6 post, the 2x6 mid-rail here. And then the screen is attached to the inside. We'll have a detail actually of this on the next sheet. So the SnapTrack screen, they have two options. One is on the outside and one is on the inside. He circled the ones for the inside. So you can see the detail here for that. They add a 2x2 trim on the corners so they can attach it on the inside. And then this is the screen door, wood screen door. These are the details for that.
Is it, on the back, is that a single screen or is that a double screen door? Just a single screen door?
Just a single.
Okay. I thought for some
Yeah,
reason
it
I
looks
saw
like double on the
back there.
plans.
The plan shows a double, but we
Oh,
were
okay.
going to do
But
a
you can do
single.
a single?
Yes.
Okay, so that'll need to be changed too. Let's see, then we have just some more details about that wood door, 3.5-inch stiles and rails, mechanical fastener and dowel construction, whatever. Anything else we care about here? Nope, okay. And some more of the actual specific details, how big it is, how long it is, how wide it is, how thick it is. And then that's it for the information. When you guys are ready, I have the staff report ready to go.
Anything you want to say?
Anything you want to add to that?
No. I think I made a note on the rear elevation of a single rear door for the screen
Okay.
on the
I
plan.
didn't see that, but that,
Okay.
and your shutters are only going to be on the front face of the...
Yes, just those
not
two
on the
windows.
sides.
Yeah, just those two on the front.
Yeah.
2 windows on the front.
So we have no audience, so we can dispense with any public comment.
Oh, so see on the plan here, he's erased the double doors and made this look like a single door here. And then I guess on the elevation.
Okay.
Oh, well, so that's it there. The elevation looks like 2 doors, but it actually shows 2 swings. So that would need to be revised as well.
Not yet.
but, okay. And here he says, single 3068 wood screen door.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, just so the record is clear, if we can note that the application for the COA presented by the applicant, the site plans, floor plans, photographs, elevations, and all the supplemental documents that have been reviewed on the screen tonight are a part of the record, including staff's report that he's getting ready to present.
All right, and I've got some notes as well to make sure we've got everything I thought we talked about.
Do we want to make sure that he agrees that the presentation is his presentation, or don't need to do that? Okay.
Okay, with that, Mr. Shelley, if you got a recommendation?
Oh, okay.
Report.
So I'm going to preface this. This staff report is quite a bit different than previous ones, and it looks very extensive, but I won't be reading all of it, okay? Is that okay with you guys? I've included not only the usual enumerated standards, but also the explanatory principles for those standards. And as usual, I have left out portions of the principles and standards that are not so relevant to this application. As I reviewed the application, a few items seemed to need some extra attention. The largest ones are the orientation of the building to Bern Street and the chimney revision, but there are others, and I've pointed them out as we went through. I intend to read only the portions of the staff report that may be of interest to you as you consider and deliberate on this project, and those portions are highlighted. So thank goodness I will not be reading everything. Some of these highlighted portions will be accompanied by a short commentary, however. And realizing you had limited time to look it over before the meeting, hopefully you will have been able to read the entirety of the staff report for yourselves prior to the meeting. As usual, you can use any of the report for your motion. So, with no further ado, this is the staff report for All Square Enterprise, LLC, and John Rosenbaum, whose address is 175 Salty Shore Point Drive, Newport, North Carolina. The project address is 719 New Street, and it is on a vacant lot. So therefore, there is nothing in the National Register inventory or the Sandbeck description for this property. So 719 New Street, the project is to include one new 1.5-story new infill house on a vacant lot. And staff submits the following historic district design principles and standards, formerly known as the guidelines, that may be appropriate to this application. So, in section site and setting, and we'll skip down through all of that to utilities. Just to reiterate that the locating equipment in secondary and tertiary AVCs is required, and to screen the items from public view with vegetation, fencing, and similar site constructions. With the orientation that they've chosen for this particular lot, that seems to be okay, or seems to be the case here. Then when we get into some of the principles, we have proportion with regard to facade proportions, have a strong vertical orientation. Infill construction should respect these characteristics. So for anyone concerned about the lack of the chimney, we have roof expression. We talk about cornices, parapets, towers, cupolas, and other rooftop appurtenances that uniquely identifies each building, and deriving their character from articulated front porches, entry doors, and window configurations. For texture, we talk about roofs, porches, bays, chimneys, decorative exterior trim, siding, and windows articulate building facades and create visual interest. For the details, infill construction, which is this case in particular, should allow architectural styles to evolve while incorporating established details that characterize New Bern's historic districts. Contemporary and compatible design is encouraged. However, it is recommended that additions and infill construction reflect and reinterpret traditional building detailing. Then in the standards portion, 3.1.5, we say to avoid creating a false sense of historical development. It is not appropriate to apply historic architectural styles to infill construction. Creative interpretation of traditional detailing and ornamentation is encouraged. So this may be where you may be talking about the modifications to the otherwise very straightforward Victorian plan that was that they have modified, or design. So for infill construction contributes to the architectural evolution of the streetscape. An infill structure should reflect its time of design. The intent is to guide change that protects the intent of the guidelines is to guide change that protects and contributes to the character of the historic districts. The applicants and you are to evaluate the context and sensitivity of the immediate area and shape infill construction to positively impact the overall district. Contemporary materials may be used on infill construction. They are to be appropriately proportioned, used in traditional ways, and installed in a traditional manner. I noted that we don't have any vents on this, and I wasn't quite sure. Did you say you're planning on
A sealed crawl.
what?
A sealed crawl.
A sealed crawl space. Okay, so he doesn't want vents because he's trying to control the atmosphere in the crawl space.
And it's not in the flood zone. We went over that at design.
Right. Correct.
So under walls, trim, and ornamentation, this is where we have the clapboard siding shown here, and the various cornice types are also shown. But it also talks about historic structures display a variety of decorative elements that contribute to the visual richness of the architecture. Columns, cornices, doors, windows, sawn work, shingles, balustrades, clapboards, floors, and bracketing are elements that collectively define the architectural style. So we talked about the hardy panels under the windows, and then the location of the shutter hardware attachment was not specifically detailed, so we should probably ask the applicant to clarify where they're planning on attaching the hardware. And then for the entrances, exterior entrances and porches are defining features of historic character. Doors, windows, trims, columns, turnposts, railings, and balusters, cornices, and steps were frequently detailed in a coordinated way to convey the style of a structure. So traditional porch, wood floorboards are milled with a tongue and groove joint. Floorboard ends are laid perpendicular to the house and projected approximately 1 to 2 inches beyond the skirt board. We saw that in the details. And sloped for drainage, that was also noted on the plans. Turnposts gained widespread use during the Queen Anne period of the Victorian style in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Ceilings of porches. Now, yes, I did see there was a note that the porch ceilings were beaded boards that were butted together, right? Not tongue and groove. I forgot to mention that, and I guess maybe that was just not. Yes, it was noted at one place. Later in the 19th century, tongue and groove beaded board became popular and remained so throughout the early 20th century. Roofs, so we do have, when we have an existing historic building, we require that rooftop architectural features such as chimneys are to be retained. So this is different in this case. This is a new construction. So that you can decide whether or not that's a relevant standard. So under the metals section, the only area I saw the use of metals was actually the hinges and holdbacks for the shutters. And so we do say that when you're using iron and steel, that it be full weld fabrication technique, and that the welds be properly dressed or ground smooth, or if they're aluminum, they should have welded joints or blind mechanical connections. Now, I don't know if those particular pieces are just simply cast in that form, or if they are welded together to do that, and if so, then whether they're dressed or ground smooth. We can maybe ask about that as well. And then, getting close to the end here, for paint, 5.4.3 and 4, to apply primer coatings to the front and back wood surfaces prior to cutting and fitting, and prime end cuts before installation. Apply finished paint coatings to exposed primed surfaces. And the other one is to consider using opaque stain in lieu of paint on flooring, fencing, and similar wood surfaces exposed to foot traffic or weather. And so we should get a note on the plans that explain one or the other or both, and where those would be applicable. All right. Contemporary materials shall be similar to their counterparts traditionally found on historic structures. Use of contemporary and non-traditional materials for infill construction is an acceptable means of continuing the evolution of architecture through time, provided they convey appropriate historic characteristics. So in contemporary materials, we have these 5, but 3 of which to highlight. One is, in general, contemporary materials shall match the dimension, shape, and texture of their counterparts commonly found in the historic districts. This is why we ask for smooth hardy board siding, among other things. So secondly, use contemporary and non-traditional materials in traditional ways. Apply materials in a traditional manner that conveys the same visual appearance as historic materials. As I was looking today through some information, I saw that Home Depot was selling hardy board, and they were suggesting an alternative method for trim where hardy board and trim meet, whereby the trim just overlaps on top of the hardy board. And so that would not be the same way that traditional materials, where the hardy board, where the siding butts into the trim. So that would be something maybe to also check on. Then contemporary and non-traditional materials should convey appropriate historic material characteristics and will be evaluated on a case-by-case basis for appearance, dimension, texture, color, sheen, visual weight, and similar characteristics. For this one, it occurred to me that there are, I researched to see whether or not there were thicker versions of hardy board siding than we have seen in photographs of what not to do with hardy board. So I did find that there are, and so you might want to check and see what the thickness of the hardy boards presented here might be. Also checking, I think, what these checked with Tripp about what the standard thickness for wood siding is, and he said 3/4 of an inch. And then someone else had mentioned that sometimes the oldest wood is more like 1/2 inch. It turns out the standard hardy board that you buy at Home Depot and Lowe's, all of it is 1/3 of an inch, so 0.3 inches instead of 0.5 or 0.75. And so actually another website had indicated that anything less than 1/2 inch was basically interior material, which might explain a couple of the problems people have had with it. So then we have these normal suggested findings of fact, and you may or may not want to alter that section there in number 2. And then I also have the first suggested condition with the emphasis on including prior to the final inspection by the Building Inspections Division so that they can proceed with the project without being held up by some of these little details. And then I've added a brand new condition, suggested condition, for situations that arise after tonight's meeting and the approval, if there is one, that any changes be submitted to us before they do them. And that's the end of our report.
Okay. Discussion by the members. Any comments? I'd like to briefly go through the green matrix. We've talked a good deal about placement. So now the bay window faces Bern Street, and then the other one is facing the opposite direction on the other property line. Landscaping, we probably will need a landscaping plan at some point in the future. We'll leave that to you, but you will need to get back to Matt with that. There's no fences or garden walls. There's no accessory structures. Your parking was detailed on the plan. So now we get to design attributes. Any comments on scale, mass, or proportion by any members?
I think this fits well with other structures within the historic districts. This is.
Want to speak in the microphone?
Oh yeah. This is a little bit higher style of structure for that block, but that's not unusual in New Bern. In fact, on the 600 block, the adjacent block, there is a colonial revival house that was built across from some fairly simple side hall houses. I mean, it's just the development style of New Bern, and I think this fits in with the historic development style.
Mr. Chair, I would agree. I think that this is a project that really fits well into the fabric of the community, and I commend you for putting some of these architectural details into this application.
Thank you. Agree. Foundations?
You can.
Okay. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Rick.
Well, I just had a question about
The width of the
window, 3.5. Is that for standard, or we're using 5 3/4?
I don't believe we have anything in the guideline that requires
There's nothing
3.5
standard.
versus 4.
And
Well-
then,
Well, you don't have any specifics, but you have the
correct.
thing about being consistent with
the neighborhood.
what would be typical or appropriate for the style or the design or the, yes.
So I know it's got the headboard, the horizontal thicker, and the sides are thinner. Typically, it's consistently the same.
Well, the same, or typically maybe a 4-inch on the side. The header is very often larger, as well as the bottom. So would 4-inch?
The corners are 6.
The corners are 6. That was very good. Yeah. But the vertical was a little thin.
Anybody else think it needs to be broader than 3.5? I have a no down here.
What do you say, John, about 3.5 versus a 4, say?
The detailing on there is appropriate in scale. It's pretty typical detailing where you've got a larger head. I don't see any inconsistencies there.
It's a busy front, but not in a bad way, and so
Right.
I think it fits to have a small.
I normally would
small
agree with you. I think the 3.5 fits okay with the design in this. I could go either way on a wider or stay with 3.5. your thoughts that another inch or half inch would be better? Or you want to go something even broader?
Broader, but 3.5 is more like interior new construction. But anyways, and then the flooring on the front porch, tongue and groove or butt together, I think doesn't matter which one you want to do. So I just brought that up.
He'd mentioned tongue and groove.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I would rather put the tongue and groove because it's going to last a lot longer and be a lot cleaner and historical look.
It looks great, and we commend you, but
Yeah, you don't have to.
you don't have to.
Okay.
And then the fans on the front porch, they have lights with them?
No.
Good.
So anything with the foundation, the entrances, windows, doors, openings? Have a wood door on the back. We have a fiberglass door on the front.
I know that we discussed the skirt being set back from the foundation piers, and that's been noted. So,
Okay.
And you mean the infill between the piers?
Yes.
Right. So that,
And it is smooth hardy board, correct?
Yes.
Right.
You said that.
So here are some of the things that I think that we've said and agreed to. I just want to make sure that these are. We talked about a bit of a recess in that infill brick we just talked about. That you've agreed or have said that the wood on the balusters, the columns on both the front and back, that's all going to be wood. That there's going to have to be some kind of trim on that shed roof for the one that goes over the ventless.
Correct.
Yeah, there's going to have to be something.
Right.
I know the plans don't
Yeah.
show, but that's going to have to be on there.
Yeah. It'll match the house.
Yeah. The screening around the utilities, you have to show kind of what that looks like, that 3-inch. You could have it match the front if that works.
Yes.
I think, as Greg said, that the deck could be just the butt edged, or it could be tongue and groove, whichever. I think we're good either way. But it needs to be. Is it going to be painted or stained?
It'll probably be stained just because of the wear and tear.
Yeah, that's fine. It can't be left as is. I mean, there has to be
Right.
something on it.
Right.
So that has to be noted. And I think we've said that, or at least most of us have said that the window trim size is okay at 3.5. And we talked about the shutters. That's going to be window sized unless you can find the ones to go the whole way
Correct.
down. And there's going to be a single screen back door, and I think that's reflected on the drawings.
Yes.
And for me, Matt, I don't know that we need any more details on how that shutter hardware is attached. I mean, I think he showed what hardware is going to be there, the shutter dogs and the hinges. So I'm comfortable that however those go on, I'm okay with that. And I do agree that if there is going to be landscaping, you'll have to see some kind of plan, whatever that looks like. And it could be minimal landscaping, but whatever it is. At least on our current regs, we'll need to show what the landscaping looks
Yeah,
like.
it'll be very minimal. Just
Yeah.
And the administrator can approve that himself.
So all the things I just said, those I think is what you had talked about, but those are going to need to be somehow noted or on the plans or just written and give it to the administrator so that everybody's clear. That's what we're
Yes.
talking about.
I think the beadboard ceiling got mentioned too on the
Okay.
porch, the front porch.
a beaded wood ceiling on the front porch.
Is it going to be hate blue? A light blue color?
no,
Yeah. I don't know.
absolutely.
Reflective stars.
Yeah.
Confuses the mosquitoes.
Yes.
Spirits and bugs. And bugs.
Okay, any final comments, sir? Appreciate you working with us on this.
And that's no problem.
Any comments from commissioners? If not, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to find the application for 719 New Street to be not incongruous with the New Bern's Code of Ordinances, sections 15.0 15.411 through 15.429, and New Bern's Historic District Design Principles and Standards based on the following specific guidelines and findings of fact. Developmental pattern 2.1.1, 2.1.3, utilities 2.3.1, design principles 3.1.1, 3.1.2, 3.1.3, 3.1.4, and 3.1.5. Infill construction 3.4.1, 3.4.2, 3.4.3, 3.4.4. Foundations 4.1.2, 4.1.3, and 4.1.4. Walls trim ornamentation 4.2.4. Windows, doors, and openings 4.3.2, 4.3.3, and 4.3.4. Entrances 4.4.4 and 4.4.5. Paint 5.4.2. Contemporary materials 5.5.1, 5.5.2, 5.5.3, 5.4.5, and 5.5.6. And the findings of fact, based on the information contained in the application and our discussion today, is that the application is for a new 1.5-story new infill house on a vacant lot in the tight weave development pattern. The proposed design, components, and materials meet the requirements of the Historic District Design Principles and Standards. The zoning administrator and the chief building official have reviewed this project and commented accordingly, and the project is not incongruous with the Historic District Design Principles and Standards and does not diminish the special character of the historic district, with two conditions: that the revisions that we talked about today need to be somehow noted and provided to the administrator for the project. Anything that changes in addition to what we've talked about today needs to be submitted to the administrator as well prior to the final inspection by the Building Inspection Division. And then, of course, any changes that you make in the process should be submitted to the administrator as well.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion of the motion?
So I thought I heard you say 719 versus 7.
I think I did say 719.
Okay, but this is 717. Is that correct? No.
So this is
719. I think.
Yeah, 719. So can I clarify a couple of things? I think you skipped all of the ones for contemporary materials.
I think I said all the contemporary materials. 5.1, 5.12.
Did you? Okay. For some reason. And then you added 5.4.5?
5.4.2.
So 5.4.2, 3, 4, and 6?
No, just 5.4.2.
Okay. Oh, okay. So maybe that's where I ended up missing the 5.5 parts. All right. There was one more question up with the brick, the masonry. Where is that? Masonry. 5.1.3 and 5.
I did not.
That gets at the. Did you want to leave those out?
I did.
Okay. I think you got the foundation ones, though.
I did.
Correct? Okay. All right.
Any further discussion of the motion?
So moved.
I mean, no more comments or concerns? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes, and they call for a motion to issue a COA for 719
So
New
moved.
Street. Second?
Second.
And just to be clear, Mr. Chair, the motion and the second issues the COA with the stated conditions.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. You're back. And I forgot to welcome Ms. Bullock back, so appreciate you here.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I think it's been moved and
Yeah,
seconded.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So you're ready to go on that one, so thank you.
All right.
Now, can I ask, the
Yes.
second one is a mirror image. Can we
Yes.
only concentrate on anything that is
Yes, in fact,
Different.
this has less.
a
So
whole
there you
lot,
go.
a whole lot less?
What?
Should only be any different, anything different, right?
Because this one does not face another street, so we don't have that issue.
Right, so there's no setback requirement on,
The sides.
That's correct.
And
So where is my-
to characterize it, it's the bay window will now be looking at the neighbors, but the utilities will still be on the parking lot side, correct? We share a parking lot, or?
We're going to determine that in a minute, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. So 717 New Street is the applicant, or the property owner is High Design Properties, and the applicant is Mr. Rosenbaum. He has been authorized to speak for them with, let's go past this signature of the applicant, or actually Mr. Rosenbaum. He's been authorized to speak for them on this project with this form here. So this is the site plan, sorry. As was mentioned, just prior to the beginning of this, that the setbacks on New Street are the same as before, so the same conditions. The setbacks on the side is a 5-foot minimum. So because this is a slightly angled shaped parcel, I would like to have the plans actually state 5-foot minimum and at each end of the building. That way they can be 6 feet at one end, 6 feet at the other, or whatever. But that way we can be sure that it will meet the requirements. That may mean that the other side will be adjusted. And I also noted that when you add the dimensions that were provided together, you end up with a dimension larger than the back and even larger than the front. So I think the 13-foot has to be modified anyway, maybe to about 11 foot or whatever you think it might be. So that modification should at least be double-checked by yourself and your team. And then they've also provided the necessary documentation of the front yard setback. So that was pretty quick, right? We have the aerial view of that. Now this lot actually is vacant, but it does have more trees along the eastern edge. Now the 5-foot setback will probably obliterate one of those trees out towards the front. You can see here it's farther than 5 feet away, and certainly so are the roots. But the one in the back, this may be overhanging more or not even affected by the construction anyway. There's our photographic view of the site, that big tree on the left. This is a photographic view down the street, and we've seen all those houses before. They're now closer to this house than the previous one. We have all of those across the street, down the street. The zoning and inspections, the zoning permit is required and a building permit is required. We've gone over this elevation. However, we have yet to determine which direction will this be. So now we can ask. So the driveway will be on the right of this. So which way would you like this to face? I have a mirror image elevation of everything in here.
Yes.
And
I would like to keep it as the plan is drawn.
So this is a mirror image of the front there, like that.
so the application would be for almost identical to 719?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we can ignore my mirror image version of this. Okay.
Who was the guy who wrote backwards?
Yeah, right.
So when we look at the houses, they will both have the front door on the right.
Correct.
And I do have a regular straight. This is now the straightforward one here.
So the bay window, just to clarify, will be looking at the driveway
Right.
side.
Yeah.
So they'll be identical twins, not fraternal twins.
Okay.
Or Siamese twins, maybe. So, okay. So go back. Go back up.
So essentially, this is the same plan as 719.
That's right.
Correct.
Yep.
So all
Everything
the
all the
comments
same.
that we talked about for the last hour
Yeah.
would carry over to this one as well?
True.
Yes.
So, Mr. Chair, what you can do for purposes of the record is, since this information is already in the record for a previous hearing, you all can take judicial notice of the plans, documents, and comments that are previously submitted in the record for 719. That way you can consider them for 717 without having to duplicate all of that information.
All right.
I think that would be a good way of doing it. Because you need to have two different COAs, because they could go at different times.
And they're different owners.
Right. So are there any objections to incorporating all the prior comments and suggestions, as well as answers from the applicant to 717 that apply to 719?
I think that makes a lot of sense, considering they are essentially the same plan, the same conditions, the same comments.
So do I have a motion then? If you can-
Well, can I at least make sure that the site plan is revised?
Of course. I was going to make that as a...
Okay, thank you.
do
But-
a motion?
I mean, I think just a motion to be able to incorporate all of the description, comments, application notes that we made for 719 would be judicially noticed to be part of the application for 717 without having to repeat them all. Again, they would just carry over to this application as well.
So is that your motion?
That is my motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And one point does need clarifying, I guess, is the width of the entire property, as you pointed out.
And the setbacks. And I think the comment about the 5-foot minimum is good, but we need to know kind of what that are, because it is a skewed property. It still needs to get that 5 foot at the closest location, whatever that is.
Yeah, and I can go back and detail that, but when I went back and looked at the plan, I was, the bay window offset is 1.5 feet, and I think that's where the number's coming up at,
Yeah,
in that corner.
'cause I took the number, that's the entire thing, including the bay window.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I need to adjust that.
Yeah, that's where that came from, okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, I assume there's no need to go through the COA sheet for this. One point, just so that it's in the record. I can't remember the last time we had COA applications for sister houses, but from a site and setting design attribute standpoint, this was very common in New Bern, particularly in the Riverside area, to have sister houses built like this side by side.
We have Hancock, too.
Yeah.
So
They're all
a number.
Yeah,
downtown,
the Kafer house.
especially Riverside.
Usually they were rental houses.
Yeah.
Multiple rental houses. Okay, we still need a COA, right?
Well, we need a
We-
motion
we
to
need a
approve. Yeah. Now we need a motion to approve the application.
Yes, we do.
You did such a fine job on the
Thank
last
you.
one.
They missed me for something.
Mr. Chair, I move to find the application for the project at 717 New Street to be not incongruous with New Bern's Code of Ordinances, sections 15.411 through 15.429, and New Bern's Historic District standards, based on the following specific guidelines and findings of fact. Sections 2.1.1, development pattern, 2.1.1, 2.1.3, utilities, 2.3.1, design principles, 3.1.1, 3.1.2, 3.1.3, 3.1.4, 3.1.5, infill construction, 3.4.1, 3.4.2, 3.4.3, and 3.4.4. Foundations, 4.1.2, 4.1.3, and 4.1.4. Walls, trim, ornamentation, 4.2.4. Windows, doors, and openings, 4.3.2, 4.3.3, and 4.3.4. Entrances, 4.4.4 and 4.4.5. Paint, 5.4.2. Contemporary materials, 5.5.1, 5.5.2, 5.5.3, 5.5.5, and 5.5.6. And the findings of fact based on the information contained in the applications, this discussion and the discussion that we incorporated by judicial review. Judicial review?
Notice. Judicial notice.
Judicial notice, thank you, that based on all of that, the application is for a new 1.5-story new infill house on a vacant lot in the tight weave development pattern. The proposed design components and materials meet the requirements of the historic design principle and standards. The zoning administrator and the chief building official have reviewed this project and commented accordingly. The project is not incongruous with the historic district design principles and standards and does not diminish the special character of the historic district. And similar to the last COA, the conditions would be that all of the information and comments that we made during the last hearing would carry over to this one as well for all those changes in design, that any design changes that you make need to be submitted to the administrator prior to the final inspection by the buildings inspection division, and any design changes that you make before you start construction need to be submitted to the administrator.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now, motion to issue a COA.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So 717, 719.
Thank
That
you.
will be your friend here. So.
Again, I think this fits in very well
Yeah.
with it.
Good project. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Get started because he can get the information to us sometime along the way, as needed, before we start that work.
Yeah.
And there's still,
Foundation work stuff first.
yeah, but still have to go through a building permit anyway, so it'll take some
Yeah.
time.
Yep. Yep.
Right, it'll take, yeah. So I'll get with you, Matt, and send over the information you need.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, thank you.
Hey, thank you very much. I know it took a long time, but it was good.
Old business, information on historic district design principles and standards update. We had a good discussion at last design review. Appreciate all your input there. We'll do it again at the next design review on April 1st. And I'll send you an email tomorrow that gives you a little homework about what the topics will be.
Is this going to be here?
I'm not sure yet. We'll tell you what the topics will be for that. Look, again, it's focusing mainly on materials, but we can bring up anything we choose to bring up as well. But do be prepared. We might have to have a few extra meetings as we get deeper into this to clarify if there are points of contention between us that we're not all of one voice on changes. Any new business?
By the way, Mr. Chair, I would echo, I thought the discussion of the last design review was excellent. I'm looking forward to the next discussion.
Good. No public comments because there's no one here. Reports on major COAs denied. Mr. Shelley, I guess there were none.
All right, none. And then we had those 4 majors issued, and then the 5 minors issued with, at the point we advertised, there were 2 COAs to be issued soon and 20 waiting for information from applicants. Item D, no violations of prevention and demolition by neglect cases have been resolved. And for the North Carolina Main Street Conference, I would like to point out that the HPC received recognition in one of the awards. If you remember, the Harvey Mansion is now called the Harvey, and that project was something that went through the HPC, of course, and the owner was kind enough to include us as part of the team that led to the success of that project. He included, of course, his contractor and his architect and his financier and landscaper and other parties, but we were included as part of that group. We are proud recipients of a new award, and I don't believe I brought it with me today, but we'll be framing that and sticking that in the office. And then we can show that to you next, probably at the design review meeting.
So does that translate to a pay increase for the HPC administrator?
Well, all of you get, you all get a bonus equal to double your salary, and then that leaves none for me.
Okay, any commissioner comments? Anything else for good of the group?
I was curious what these...
Matt, do you want to explain what you handed out?
Okay, yes. So I just handed out some additional fun handouts, more or less. I printed them out, some of them quite a while ago. One of them is a series of blogs related to historic preservation that may or may not interest you. And then another one is something I printed out even a couple of years ago, I believe, regarding the issues with mini splits, and with lots of photographs about good and bad examples. So those are things to, one, to entertain you maybe, and the other to inform you as you think through things like mini splits, which we have no specific guidelines for at the moment.
Yeah, but I think it does point out on there the intent of the painting utilities is really those lines that are
Yeah.
Right.
The line
not
sets.
the heat pump, but
Yeah.
simply the
Not the
lines on
actual
the
unit.
surface,
Yeah.
which we're going to clarify.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, anything else? If not, motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right.